Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom.
And welcome to the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And since we're observing a Shabbat on the weekly Shabbat, that makes it a high holy day. So Shabbat Shalom and Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
The first thing I want to do is thank everybody who stuck around until the wee hours of the morning. And when I say wee hours of the morning, I know most of us got home around 5 o'clock. And I appreciate y'all sticking around to help. The issue is that it's always a remnant that's always sticking around. The 2/3 cut out and leave the remnant. If we had the 2/3, I'm sure the remnant wouldn't have had to stay till almost 5 o'clock in the morning. More hands in, the quicker we can get in and get out. So then you got to look at Yeshua's situation. He started out with 70, and it ended up a remnant. Yahweh says he what? He's only going to keep a remnant. Let's be mindful of how we deal with Yahweh's stuff. The sanctuary is not mine. It's not priest Esaac's. This is Yahweh's house. There's a brother around here, Mishael. Mishael will work all day long and don't care if nobody helps him. You want to know why? Because in his mind, he got one thing. Reverence Yahweh's sanctuary. Reverence Yahweh's sanctuary. You can see he need help. He say, no, bro, I'm fine. We had people come in from out of town and stuck around till almost 5 o'clock in the morning. Why? It's their only opportunity that they get when they're here to be able to help out with the things going on around in the sanctuary. It seems to be the same people all the time. I was here the other day. My brother was driving by. He went out to get outfits, he told me. Man, I was out getting outfits. But I'm here now. Forget about that, man. What you need me to do? Just driving by and seen the door open. What you need me to do? I'm here now. I ain't really had nothing for him, but I had to find something for him. Another brother stuck it out here. The young brother stuck out until he had to leave to go home and get his pregnant wife and take her to the hospital. But that brother stuck out as long as he could. But where did he get that from? An example that he saw in his own house when his brother was delivered. The examples that we setting, everybody's watching. Your other brothers and your other sisters are watching, and even the children around you are watching how we deal with Yahweh's things. But now that I've purged that out of my system, let's go ahead and start at Luke chapter 22. Luke chapter 22, and we're going to start at verse 1.
Luke chapter 22, verse 1 through 20. Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover. And the chief priests and scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people.
Now let's go ahead and correct that. The feast of unleavened bread is not called the Passover. We observed what last night? Passover. Passover comes first, then the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Okay? Let's not take that and run with it. Go ahead.
Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being the number of the 12. And he went his way, and communed with the chief priests and captains, how he might betray him unto them. And they were glad and coveted to give him money.
Now, let's go back. Let's set this scene of what's happening. Now, the Feast of Unleavened Bread drew near, okay? And the chief priests and scribes saw how they might kill him, Yeshua, for they feared the people. Then entered Satan into Yehudas, named Iscariot. Do we see what time frame this happens? We heard Priest Esaac talk last night about how things get real hectic around the holy days. So we might want to be careful, at least we are opened up to be entered into like Judas Iscariot. This is happening around the holy days. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And he promised and sought opportunity to betray him unto them and the absence of the multitude. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Passover must be killed.
Once again, we know this is not true.
And he sent Cephas and Johanan, saying, Go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat. And they said unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare? And he said unto them, Behold, when ye enter into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he entereth in. And you shall say unto the good man of the house, The master saith unto thee, Where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples? And he shall show you a large upper room furnished, there make ready.
So they didn't just go in this room and just start having a feast. They were told to make it ready. Does this place look like it did for those of y'all who left 5 o'clock this morning? For anybody that was here last night, does it look the same? It was made ready for tonight. So there's always works going on. And it's amazing to me that you have people who will come and go, well, when did this happen? And these people are part of the governing body. How do you not know what is going on? Are you being left out, or you kept yourself out? Go ahead.
Verse 13. And they went and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover. And when the hour was come, he sat down, and the 12 apostles were with him. And he said unto them, With desire I have desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I say unto you, I will not any more eat thereof until it be fulfilled in the kingdom of Elohim. And he took the cup and gave thanks and said, Take this and divide it among yourselves. For I say unto you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of Elohim shall come. And he took bread and gave thanks and brake it, and gave unto them, saying, This is my body, which I give for you. This do in remembrance of me. Likewise also the cup after supper, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood, which I shed for you.
So these are the things that have been done for us. So we see the sacrifices that has been made, but we also see that a vow was made. He made a Nazarite vow. So that means, hey, when he come back, hey man, his locks might be long like Junior Gong. That's Damian Marley for who don't know. You know, they touch the ground. The man said, I will not drink of the wine until I drink it with you. But that's a deep friendship. That's a deep commitment. I said, man, I'm not gonna do this till I get back with y'all. How much of us could hold out from taking pleasure in the wine to say, hey, let's put it out there. When I get back with my boys, we gonna hang out and we gonna drink. I'm gonna hold out till I get back with my boys. My family, my people. Like it's been said, we've been given an example of what we should follow, what we should desire to be, how we should desire to be. Tonight begins the Feast of Unleavened Bread. There's a lot of things that we're going to have to restrain from. Hey, this might be the week you might need to make some bag lunches. Don't forget what the brown paper bag look like. You might have to pack your lunch and take it to work just to be on the safe side. Hey, my wife told me earlier, hey, I'm taking the boys to Wendy's. They eating in the restaurant, right? Why? Because now we got to be mindful. The cars are vacuumed out. Something just that simple that we might not think about. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 2. We're going to read verses 19 through 25. I mean, this is a difficult week, you know, because, hey, I call today and say, hey, can you get me some patties? You know, I got to get it in right now before the sun goes down. 1 Peter chapter 2, and we're going to start at verse 19.
Verse 19. For this is thankworthy, if a man for conscience towards Elohim endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what glory is it, if, when ye be buffeted for your faults, you shall take it patiently? But if, when you do well and suffer for it, ye take it patiently, this is acceptable with Elohim.
So what he's telling you right now, or what he's giving you an example of, is Yahshua. Yahshua did no wrong. He suffered. He took it patiently. Man, most of us, somebody talk to us, brother, why are you talking to me like that? And then we got to kind of start looking at ourselves at what pokes your buttons. Is it because of your upbringing, or was it because that person was really being rude to you? That's what we got to look at. You know, because if you was raised by mama, she talked to you a certain different way. Now you got these men, hey brother, don't put that over there. Bro, why you coming at me like that? Hey man, it's just the bass in my voice, okay? And not only that, sometimes some people just, hey, I got to be stern so you know I'm not joking right now. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, hey, bro, don't put that there. Sometimes we don't have time for niceties. Hey, man, sometimes Sock doing 50 things, and he might, you gonna do that right now? It's like, oh, damn. Yeah, I wasn't thinking, bro. I wasn't thinking. But he ain't got no time to be trying to nicely explain this. There's 50 things going on. I might come out some way. Walk, hey, man, my mind might have 50 things going on, and I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not being rude. I don't know how many people tried to reach out to me today, but anybody trying to reach out might think I was ignoring them. Hey, man, I left my phone here. We left here 4 o'clock in the morning. I reach home, my wife said, do you want to go get it? Want and need is 2 different things. I'm not spending another hour on the road for a phone. We'll be back tomorrow night. It'll be okay. So if you call me and you text me, you didn't get nothing. I wasn't ignoring you. I did not have the phone. Go ahead.
Verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called, because the Mashiach also suffered for us, leaving us an example, that ye shall follow his steps, who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth, who, when he was reviled not again. When he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judgeth righteously, who his own self bare our sins in his own body on the tree, that we, being dead to sin, should live unto righteousness, by whose stripes ye are healed.
Now I want to go back to start at verse 22. We're dealing with unleavened bread. We've all did our best to purge the leaven out of our homes. And I said did our best because it always happens. You turn around 2 weeks from now and go, oh, damn, I didn't know this was still in the house. Or you might read something and be like, oh, damn, how come I didn't see this? I mean, simple stuff is buying meat packets because we want a quick meal that's already seasoned. It might be in the deep freezer, and you might say it's just meat, but it's seasoned, and you didn't pay attention that There's yeast in there. Something just that simple. Not intentional, just overlooked. But when you look at ingredients, let's get away from the natural and let's start dealing with spiritual ingredients. Verse 22, who did no sin, okay, that's an ingredient. Neither was guile found in his mouth. That ingredient wasn't a part of him. Who, when he was reviled, reviled not again. Another ingredient. Right? When he suffered, he threatened not. But committed himself to him that judges righteously. So he was flat. He bowed down. We have to look within ourselves and see what we need to purge out of us. Those are ingredients that run in him. Go ahead.
For ye were a sheep going astray, but are now returned unto the shepherd and bishop of your souls.
All right. 1 Corinthians chapter 5. It says you were sheep going astray. And I mean, how many of us actually look at the blessings to have some form of truth? My thing is, whatever little bit of truth you've grasped to so far, walk in that as much as you can until it begins to increase. Be patient. Wait on understanding. Wait on your instructions. A lot of people are just all over the place, all over the place, all over the place. And you don't realize when you're all over the place, you're picking up a little bit of leaven in some stuff. Now you throw it to somebody else and they don't know how to decipher and leave the leaven out. So we definitely got to be mindful how we deal with things when we hear it. Everybody can't handle it. Something as simple as recommending a movie. Hey man, brother came to me and said, hey, bro, you recommended this movie, man, and I had an issue with it. I didn't know his shortcomings. I had to apologize. So that's the thing we love to share, but did you go through everything? Did you take into consideration that somebody might not be able to handle this? We all are not at the same level. So we have to be mindful of that. But we also have to be honest too, to be able to say, hey bro, I'm not there yet. I can't handle that yet. Hey, it's the young people that are stepping up and asking the questions. I'm going to use this terminology. It's us old heads that sit back and act like we got it. Hey, man. The body and the blood was here last night. A young brother say, hey, man, hey. I'm not there. Respect. Commend that young brother. I commend people who come in and say, hey, I'm going to hold off. Another brother said, hey, I'm not ready for this yet. But these are baptized people. But they looking at where they're at. You know what? Hey, not this year. Maybe next year I'll be up there where I feel comfortable to do that. What it says, judge yourself so you be not judged. Least you eat and drink what? Damnation unto yourself. Don't sit in a room and act like you know everything just because you've been around for a minute or you're older. I'm straightforward. And some of the stuff that blows me away, and I do the dog look sideways thing when I hear somebody come and say, oh, yeah, I was taught on the Eliot Code. Okay. Back in the days, that was name dropping, right? For what reason? Man, let's just be humble. We're all here to learn. Priest Esaac is still learning. I'm still learning. We all gonna have our different jobs of servitude. And that's what we're gonna have to figure out. What role are you in the toolbox? And some of us gonna have to play more roles than some in the toolbox. That's where you have to learn. Yahweh need me for this today. Boom. Okay, I'm presented with another challenge. Let me switch. Hey man, you might have to change kufis 3-4 times in one day. But you have to be opened up to be able to take those changes and make those changes as they come along. But if you're filled with leaven and puffed up, how much more can be put into you? Go ahead. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, begin at verse 1.
It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. And ye are puffed up, and have not rather mourned that he that hath done this deed might be taken away from among you.
So the deed is being done. People see the deed. Nobody's mourning. What does that do? That allows that person to stay in that spot. That allows them to stay comfortable. But then what? They're still in the midst of you. So what happens when some unsuspecting person sees that and say, okay, it's all right. Ain't nobody say nothing. We should be here to build each other. Well, building sometimes requires tearing down and rebuilding. If you tender, I'm sorry, at some point I'm gonna hurt your feelings. But at the same token, I can take it. So don't think that I can just dish it out and I can't take it. If you gotta jump in my stuff, jump in my stuff. But make sure that when you jump in my stuff, okay? All right, fear, go ahead.
Verse 3. For I verily, as absent in body, but present in spirit, have judged already, as though I were present, concerning him that hath so done this deed. In the name of our Adonai Yahshua Mashiach, when ye are gathered together, and my spirit with the power of our Adonai Yahshua Mashiach, to deliver such an one unto Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved in the day of the Adonai Yahshua.
So take the cuts. You will live. We want to deal with the flesh, and hopefully we can save your spirit. Least we leave you alone and you die a physical and a spiritual death. Go ahead.
Your glory is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump?
Just a little bit. Now, you think about the fact. We went through and we cleaned our homes. We cleaned the sanctuary, top to bottom. And you might think to yourself, why are we doing all this? We do the cooking in the kitchen, right? Has anybody ever paid attention to how when you open flour, it blows in the wind? we know not where that ends up. And it's the same thing with that spiritual leavening when you put it out there. You don't know where it's going to end up. Because it's just blowing in the wind. It started out as wind out of your mouth. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even the Mashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity, and truth.
So there's the problem right there. Sincerity and truth. Okay? I'm going to come to you sincerely and tell you messing up, and hopefully you can deal with the truth. And vice versa. Sincerity and truth. Okay? I know a lot of y'all kids nowadays, y'all not used to writing letters. Y'all remember when you used to write on it, sincerely yours. Okay. All right, let's go ahead.
Verse 9. I wrote unto you in an epistle, not to company with fornicators.
I wrote unto you in a letter. Okay, that's what an epistle is, a letter. Go ahead.
Yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous and extortioners, or with the idolaters, for then must ye needs go out of the world. But now I have written unto you not to keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or covetous, or an idolater, or a riler, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, with such and one not to eat. For what have I to do to judge them also that are without? Do not ye judge them that are within?
So here's the thing. It says, with such a one know not to eat. But do we get to the point that we so busy hanging out and we loving the company, we eating and drinking, that we don't realize that, you know what, brother or sister, you kind of foul. These things we got to pay attention to. We have to be responsible for ourselves and everyone else around us. I tell you what, it'll be sisters that run and come us that, hey, there's some crap going on. There's a brother in there or a sister in there that's talking some mess that y'all might need to go listen to. Why is it the sisters? Why are the sisters the ones being as the he-goat before the flock? Oh, because we too busy, too afraid we might offend our boy, our friend. Hey, man, there's accountability for that. If you wrong, you wrong. But then let's see how we can examine and work on this. Go ahead.
But them that are without Elohim judgeth. Therefore put away from among yourselves that wicked person.
So I'd rather get to you before Elohim has to judge you. Those that are without instruction, without the camp, without guidance, Elohim gonna judge them. But do you want to reach that point that Elohim has to judge you? How could I say I'm a brother or a friend and let you stay out there for Elohim to judge? Then there's something wrong with me. Then I'm truly not my brother's keeper. We all gotta really examine ourselves and then be able to help to examine each other for righteousness' sake. This way we can continue to purge the leaven out of ourselves and help one another to purge them little things that we might not see in ourselves. Because, hey, you ask me, I'm going to tell you I'm perfect. Okay? Brother Absalom from South Carolina can tell you, no, he a little touchy. He got problems. But it's okay. As long as we can be honest with each other. This is how we help each other on the road to salvation, although we're going to stand in judgment one by one. But the road doesn't have to be one by one. So let's take the help and the company along the journey until they say, all right, you go sit in that room, you go sit in that room. All right, bro, hope I see you on the other side. But it's up to us how we deal with it. We can also alienate one another by being touchy. Every little thing that's said to you, you touch it. You touch it. After a while, what happened? People say, you know what, man, let me just leave this brother alone. Let me leave this sister alone. Can't say nothing to him. Sorry. I was outside and Kish yelled at me. What did Kish say? Go help them brothers put the tent up. Oh, and that was yelling at you? I don't like the way he said it. Okay? All right, after a while, guess what? Kish won't say nothing to you. And then you might realize that a lot of other people ain't saying nothing to you. Because they then start saying, oh, there's a pattern. And sometimes you watch patterns. So you had a problem when Kish said it to you, but I saw Sock say the same thing to you. And it was, all right, Sock, all right, priest, I got you. Okay. All right. I see a bit of respect the person's going on. It's cool. I got you. Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, and we're going to read verses 1 through 20.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
So this is where we're at. We're in the first month. Okay? Yahweh didn't care what nobody else had going on. This month gonna be the first month to you. Go ahead.
Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it. According to the number of souls, every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. Ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the even. And they shall take of the blood, and strike it on the 2 side posts, and on top, and on the upper door post of the house, wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in the night, roast with fire, and unleavened bread, and with bitter herb they shall eat it. Eat not it raw.
Eat not of it.
Eat not of it raw, nor sodden. What is that, like
Sodden at all with water.
No, at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn it with fire.
So Yahweh gives a recipe over here. He said, unleavened bread with bitter herbs you shall eat it. we had lamb last night. I don't know how many people actually enjoyed their lamb, but it was to the point that somebody said, "Do you want salad dressing?" No. It's going to mess with the seasoning in my lamb. The lamb was so well seasoned, I didn't want anything else to mess it up. Yahweh say, hey man, put some bitter herbs in it. Season it well. Go ahead.
And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that remaineth. Oh yeah, I read that. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is Yahweh's Passover.
Do we understand why they had to eat it in haste? Exactly. You're going to have to get up out of here soon. But, hey, last night, we weren't being chased. This was not our sacrifice. We were able to sit down and enjoy it. But we have to look at then and now. But keep in mind, though, although we enjoyed it last night, and we've enjoyed it many Passovers since, there's another Exodus coming. Are we prepared for the fact that we're going to have to leave in haste? Go ahead.
Verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am Yahweh. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt.
Back in verse 12, it says, for I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, right? I had this vision, when it says the firstborn. Most of us probably think about the children. Imagine you sitting in the house and your parents ain't have no other kids, or you the first man, and you're a grown man and you don't have any kids yet. Have you considered that? There's some grown men that got taken out. A lot of times when you look at it, you thinking, oh, it was firstborn, kids up in there, these little kids. Hey man, there was some grown men that got in that whole thing. Go ahead.
Verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to Yahweh throughout your generation. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your house. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
Now, when you look at this whole setup, so the first thing we had to do was mark our doors so the destroyer wouldn't come in and kill you, right? That's the Passover. Then he gives you this day of unleavened bread, right? If you just focus on the unleavened bread part of it, you forget. He says this is an ordinance for you to remember. Remember what? What are you remembering? So we already got a memorial for Passover. So what are you observing on unleavened bread? Is it just the unleavened bread? There was a flight that had to take place. Do we remember that doing unleavened bread? That our people had to get up and get gone. Whatever your isms and your schisms was with each other, hey, put it behind you and get the lawn. So a lot was left out besides just leavening. Hey man, you got to put ill feelings behind. You got to put what you think, feel, and believe behind and get going. Go ahead.
Verse 16. And in the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and in the seventh day there shall be a holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this self same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever.
So verse 17, and you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this self same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Do we keep that as part of the remembrance? Or are we just focused on getting leaven out of our houses? There's a memorial. Our people was brought up out of Egypt. Go ahead.
In the first month of the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your house. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Ye shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations shall ye eat unleavened bread.
And because people aren't falling out and it's not being done right then and there, we play games with it. It's not that big of a deal. Hey, there's still the books that's going to be open. And when the books is open, is that one of the things you want to hear? Yeah, Feast of Unleavened. Mikael was eating muffins. What? So you didn't keep it in sincerity and in truth? Yeah, we saw Kish around the corner with that beef patty in his mouth. Shh, don't tell nobody that. We really have to be mindful of what's being written in the book. You might be getting over on man, but what about the one who created man? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 16, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8. That's going to be our last scripture reading for the night, so that we can go ahead and enjoy the Feast of Unleavened Bread and maybe get out of here early, because y'all ain't got no excuses why y'all shouldn't be back at Sabbath class. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 1 through 8.
Observe the month of Abib, and keep the Passover unto Yahweh thy Elohim. For in the month of Abib, Yahweh thy Elohim brought thee forth out of Egypt by night.
Now, in this we hear the month of Abib. Just look at the correlations. Abib. The Spanish people say Abrilo, and then they gave us April. But yet, we April Fools. Because what? We still observe the new year, April, March. So who's wrong and who's right? I mean, the Spanish people didn't go too far off from the name. So we have to understand that we have a little bit of understanding. And with the little bit of understanding that you have, stand confidently in it. And as it grows, you stand confidently in the little bit that we're given. It's when you're trying to add too much, you tend to forget and not have appreciation for the foundation and the fundamentals. And then you get puffed up. Go ahead.
Verse 2. Thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto Yahweh thy Elohim of the flock and the herd, in the place which Yahweh shall choose to place his name there. Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread, therewith even the bread of affliction. For thou comest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou comest forth out of the land of Egypt all the days of thy life. And there shall be no leavened bread seen with thee in all thy coasts 7 days, neither shall there anything of the flesh which thou sacrificest the first day at even remain all night until the morning.
Now, when we read earlier about no leaven being found, it said in your houses. He just stepped it up on a whole nother level. Your coast. So if I come to you and if I was at your house earlier today and I said, bro, why is this still in your house? You gonna be mad with me? It's still in the coast. Now we can see, once we get back into the land, how important it's going to be to probably be a nosy neighbor. I mean, what the hell you got there? Hey, bro, that's still in the coast. At least you cause all of us problems. Like the kids say, snitches get stitches. I'm going to step back here and I'm going to see what Yahweh going to do to you. Since you worried about me snitching. This is where accountability for one another comes in. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates, which Yahweh thy Elohim give thee, but at the place which Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose to place his name in. There thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at even, at the going down of the sun, at the season that thou comest forth out of Egypt.
Now, it says, you may not sacrifice the Passover within any of your gates, which Yahweh Elohim gives you. You know, it's going to be real interesting. I'd love to see and be there when we get in the land to see how many people going to actually be willing to go out and want to sacrifice the Passover. Because we here, and every year we have to tell somebody, bruh, the lamb you're cooking is not your sacrifice. People so hell-bent on wanting to sacrifice a lamb. I want to see when it really comes down to it, how much you gonna really want to do it. How hell-bent you gonna be on really wanting to sacrifice it. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just lost my place. Verse 7. And thou shalt roast and eat it in the place which Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose, and thou shalt turn in the morning, and go unto thy tent. 6 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly to Yahweh thy Elohim. Thou shalt do no work therein.
Even with the leaven in your coast, a man is in his yard about to do a sacrifice of the Passover, and the temple's down the street. Hey, we're going to have to do something to you. Why? Because you're in violation. You're in violation. That means you stiff-necked. We're supposed to do it at the place where Yahweh chose to put his name. Once again, I'm telling you, we really going to have to watch each other. Because some of us are just hell-bent on doing our own thing. And if it's going to cause me some problems, then we going to have some problems. Just being honest. The definition for leaven from H2557. Chamates, ferment, figuratively extortion. would you think you'd see that word with leaven? Extortion. Leaven, leavened bread. And you have unleavened from H4682. Isn't this what we all love? Matzah. What is it? A flat bread, right? From H4711, in the sense of greedily devouring for sweetness, properly sweetness, concretely sweet, that is, not soured or bittered with yeast, specifically an unfermented cake or loaf, or elliptically, the festival of Passover, because no leaven was then used. Unleavened bread, unleavened cake without leaven. Now, there was a Greek definition that I thought was very interesting from G106. Azimos, from G1 as a negative particle, and G2219, unleavened, that is, figuratively uncorrupted. In the neuter plural, specifically, by implication, the Passover week, unleavened bread. So we have 7 days to observe the Feast of Unleavened Bread. At the end of it, it keeps saying bread. But there's other things within your reach that has leaven in it. Some of us can't put the liquor down. Some of us can't put the beer down. Be careful. At least all you're looking at is food and not your drinks. The sad thing is, we had to get rid of bottled water. Okay? So you stop at Quick Trip to get you some bottled water and think it's just bottled water. You might want to read the ingredients. And if you don't know what to look for, ask Mother Lael for a copy of the ingredients that are leavened, so we know what we're dealing with, so we can keep this thing over the next 7 days the best way we possibly can. When in doubt, throw it out. Okay? That's all we're going to do for this evening. Enjoy the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.